5 popular anime everyone loves that actually suck. Everyone's telling you to watch these shows. They're calling them masterpieces, must-watch classics that changed anime forever. But here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to admit. 5 of the most popular anime ever are massively overrated, and I'm about to prove it. These are not just mediocre shows with devoted fans. These are anime that actively waste your time, praised for things they do not actually do well, defended by people who refuse to see their flaws. After analyzing hundreds of hours of these series and diving deep into what makes them so problematic, I have discovered exactly why these shows do not deserve their reputation. This is not about personal taste or subjective opinion. This is about objective flaws that ruin the experience. By the end of this video, you will understand why these beloved anime actually suck, and you will save yourself from wasting weeks watching them. Let's start with the biggest offender on this list, Sword Art Online, the show that launched 1,000 terrible isekai copycats. You've heard people call it revolutionary and groundbreaking, but here is what they are not telling you. Sword Art Online is one of the worst written anime ever. Let me break down exactly why it is so terrible. The premise starts strong, I will give it that. 10,000 players trapped in a virtual reality game. If you die in the game, you die in real life. They must clear all 100 floors to escape. That is an incredible setup with endless storytelling potential, but the show completely wastes it within 12 episodes. They skip 25 floors in a single time jump. Months pass with zero explanation or character development. The pacing is so rushed, it becomes incomprehensible. You never see the world building or society forming. You get random, disconnected episodes that mean nothing. Then the show abandons its own premise halfway through. They escape Sword Art Online in episode 14. The remaining 11 episodes take place in a different game. That makes the title of the show completely meaningless. Now let's talk about the protagonist, Kirito. He is the most overpowered, boring character in anime history. He is a solo player who somehow beats everyone. He gets unique abilities nobody else can obtain. He wins every fight through Deus Ex Machina, and every female character instantly falls in love with him. There is no struggle, no growth, no earned victories. Just a power fantasy for lonely teenage boys. Asuna starts as a badass, independent warrior. By episode 15, she is reduced to a damsel in distress. She is literally caged in a tower, waiting for Kirito to rescue her. The show does this to every female character. They exist solely to worship the ground Kirito walks on. It is embarrassing writing that insults your intelligence. But here is where Sword Art Online becomes genuinely problematic. Every single season includes sexual assault scenes. Female characters get attacked by male villains repeatedly. These scenes are graphic, prolonged, and completely unnecessary. The creator apologized, but keeps including them. The most recent season in 2020 had another one. This is not edgy storytelling, this is exploitative garbage. Combined with constant fan service shots of underage characters, the show becomes uncomfortable to defend or recommend. Even hardcore fans admit the writing is objectively terrible. They just claim the action scenes make up for it. But beautiful animation cannot save fundamentally broken storytelling. Sword Art Online popularized the worst trends in modern anime. Overpowered protagonists with no personality or development, harems where every girl inexplicably loves the main character, virtual reality worlds with no consistent rules or logic, and sexual assault used as lazy shock value. Every bad isekai you have seen copied Sword Art Online's formula. That is its legacy, inspiring a generation of terrible shows. The second anime on this list is Attack on Titan. I know this one will make people angry. Attack on Titan is considered a modern masterpiece by fans. Critics call it one of the best anime of all time. But strip away the hype and examine it objectively. The show has massive, fundamental problems nobody talks about. Let's start with the most obvious issue. The characters are underdeveloped and one-dimensional. Eren spends entire seasons just screaming in rage. That is his entire personality for the first 2 seasons. Mikasa exists only to protect Eren and nothing else. She has no goals, no development, no independent arc. Armin cries and doubts himself for 30 episodes straight. These are your 3 main protagonists for the entire series. Side characters get introduced just to die immediately. You are supposed to feel sad when they are eaten, but you barely know their names before they are gone. The show mistakes shock value for genuine emotional depth. Watching people get eaten by titans is disturbing initially, but after the 15th time it loses all impact. You become completely numb to the violence. It is just gore for the sake of gore, without any meaningful character development supporting it. The pacing is another massive problem throughout the series. The first few episodes are genuinely excellent, great world building, tension, and mystery everywhere. Then the show completely drags in the middle. Multiple episodes are dedicated to internal monologues. Characters stand around explaining their feelings endlessly. The Survey Corps spends 3 episodes moving a boulder. 3 entire episodes for one simple task. This is not building tension, it is padding for time. Fans always say it gets better after season 1. If a show needs 25 episodes to get good, that is not a good show. That is bad storytelling. The best stories hook you from episode 1, not halfway through the 2nd season. Now let's talk about the show's over-reliance on shock. Attack on Titan uses trauma as its primary storytelling device. Characters die, people scream, blood sprays everywhere. But there is no deeper meaning or thematic resonance. It is just constant tragedy without purpose or payoff. Compare this to shows that handle darkness well. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood deals with heavy themes, and every dark moment serves the story and the characters. Attack on Titan just throws violence at you constantly, hoping you will mistake brutality for depth. The premise itself is not even original. Humanity fighting giant monsters has been done countless times. Blue Gender, Claymore, Pacific Rim, every Godzilla movie. Attack on Titan did not invent this concept at all. It just got lucky with timing and marketing. The animation quality carries the show more than anything. Those fight scenes with the 3-dimensional maneuver gear are visually stunning and incredibly well choreographed. But gorgeous animation does not excuse terrible character writing or pacing so slow you could watch paint dry. Fans defend it by saying the plot becomes complex later. But complex does not automatically mean good. You can have convoluted storytelling that goes nowhere, which is exactly what Attack on Titan delivers. The ending of the manga proved this conclusively. After years of build-up to the final confrontation, the resolution disappointed fans worldwide. Character motivations made no sense in retrospect. Themes were abandoned, arcs went unresolved, even dedicated fans admitted it fumbled the landing. That is not a good story that had a bad ending. That is a bad story that could not sustain itself. Attack on Titan is mediocre anime with exceptional production values. Strip away the budget and what is left, underdeveloped characters, uneven pacing, and shock value. That is not a masterpiece, that is overrated. If you enjoyed this breakdown so far, smash that like button and subscribe for more honest anime analysis. We are only halfway through this list. The third anime that desperately needs calling out is Demon Slayer. This show is praised as a visual masterpiece. It is the highest grossing anime film of all time, and it has won awards for animation quality and production design. But here's what people conveniently ignore. Demon Slayer has some of the worst writing in modern shonen. Let me explain why this show is massively overrated. The plot is about as generic as shonen gets. A boy's family is killed by demons. He swears revenge, he trains to become stronger, and he fights increasingly powerful enemies. He recruits a small team of quirky companions. We have seen this exact story 1,000 times before. Naruto, Bleach, Black Clover, many shonen use this formula. Demon Slayer does not add anything new or interesting. It is by the numbers shonen, plain and simple. The protagonist, Tanjiro, is aggressively boring. He is kind and protective of the weak. That is his entire personality across 26 episodes. There is no complexity, no real flaws, no internal conflict. He is just generically good without any edge. Compare him to better-written shonen protagonists. Edward Elric is arrogant but deeply traumatized. Gonfreaks is cheerful but dangerously obsessive. Tanjiro is just nice, and that is it. Zenitsu is even worse as comic relief. His whole character is screaming and being a coward, then randomly becoming competent when he falls asleep. The joke wears thin after the second time. By episode 20, you want him to disappear. Inosuke is a loud, aggressive guy who wears a boar head. That is his whole character, loud and aggressive. These are not characters, they are one-note gimmicks. The villains fare even worse in writing. Every demon has the exact same backstory. They were human, something tragic happened, now they are evil. Then Tanjiro defeats them and they remember being human. He feels sympathy before they die. This happens with every single demon. The show beats this emotional note to death. After the 5th time, it becomes completely predictable. You know exactly how every fight will end. The pacing copies Naruto's worst habits. Fights are stretched over multiple episodes unnecessarily. Internal monologues pause the action constantly. Characters explain their techniques in excruciating detail. A fight that should take 10 minutes takes 3 episodes. This padding makes the show exhausting to watch, but people forgive all of this because of the animation. And yes, the animation is genuinely spectacular. Ufotable created some of the best fight scenes ever. The colors, the effects, the fluidity are all incredible. Episode 19 became a viral sensation for good reason. That Hinokami Kagura sequence is absolutely stunning. But here is the problem with praising animation alone. Demon Slayer proves that pretty visuals cannot save bad writing. You can polish garbage to a mirror shine, but it is still garbage underneath the pretty surface. The story is generic, the characters are flat, the pacing drags, the plot is predictable. Beautiful animation makes these problems more tolerable, but it does not actually fix any of them. If you removed the god-tier animation and gave Demon Slayer average production values, nobody would be calling it a masterpiece. It would be considered another mediocre shonen. That is the definition of overrated right there. Praised for spectacle while ignoring fundamental storytelling problems. Demon Slayer is proof that flashy visuals fool people. They mistake technical achievement for narrative quality. The 4th overrated anime is My Hero Academia. This one might be the most controversial pick yet. My Hero Academia is beloved by millions of fans. It dominated the anime scene for multiple years. But let's be completely honest about its problems. The show is painfully generic and derivative. The entire premise is superheroes going to high school. That is not innovative. It is Sky High the anime. Every character is a walking stereotype or trope. Deku is the powerless underdog who gains power. Bakugo is the rival who is aggressive and talented. Todoroki is the quiet guy with family trauma. Uraraka is the cute girl who supports the protagonist. We have seen these exact archetypes a million times. The show does nothing interesting with any of them. The power system makes absolutely no sense. Everyone is born with a quirk, a superpower, but the power distribution is completely random. Some people can explode things, others just have tails. There is no logic or consistency to any of it. One character can rewind time, another shoots tape. These abilities are not balanced or thought out. It is just whatever random power the writer needed. The villains are laughably bad throughout the series. Stain has legitimate philosophical points about hero society, but the show treats him as completely wrong. All Might represents everything wrong with the system, fame-obsessed celebrity heroes who ignore real problems. But the narrative never actually addresses these issues. It just says, heroes good, villains bad, nuance dead. Shigaraki is whiny and annoying for entire seasons. His motivation is basically that he hates everything. That is not a compelling villain. That is an edgy teenager. The school tournament arc exposes the show's problems. They dedicate 10 episodes to a sports festival. Characters fight each other instead of actual villains. The stakes are meaningless. No one is in real danger. It is just filler disguised as character development. Every shonen has a tournament arc at some point, but good ones use them to advance plot and character. My Hero Academia just copies the format without understanding why. The pacing becomes glacially slow in later seasons. An entire season is dedicated to Deku learning to kick. He already has super strength in his arms. Now he is learning to use his legs too. This takes 25 episodes of screen time. That is not character growth. That is treading water. The show constantly undermines its own themes. It claims anyone can be a hero, but Deku only becomes one because he inherits power. He did not earn it through hard work and determination. All Might simply gave him the strongest quirk. So the message is actually that you need power to succeed, which completely contradicts the supposed theme. Fans defend it by saying it is fun and wholesome, but fun does not excuse lazy writing and wasted potential. Plenty of anime are fun and well written. My Hero Academia chose to be generic instead. The fifth and final anime is One Piece. And before fans riot in the comments, hear me out. One Piece is the longest running anime in history, with over 1,000 episodes and still ongoing. It is one of the highest selling manga ever created. The fandom is passionate, dedicated, and enormous. But length and popularity do not equal quality. One Piece has massive problems that fans refuse to acknowledge. Let's start with the most obvious issue. The pacing is absolutely atrocious throughout the entire series. Early episodes adapted multiple manga chapters each, but modern One Piece adapts half a chapter per episode. That means 20 minutes of content stretched to fill space. Characters walk slowly, stare at each other, and gasp dramatically. There are entire episodes where literally nothing happens. One fight can take 10 episodes to resolve, not because it is complex or interesting, but because they are padding for time. This makes the show nearly unwatchable without skipping filler. And unlike other long-running anime, One Piece filler is not separate from canon. It is woven into every single episode. You cannot skip episodes without missing important moments. But watching everything means suffering through endless padding. The art style and animation are incredibly inconsistent. Some arcs look gorgeous with fluid animation. Others look like they were drawn by middle schoolers. Character designs change randomly between episodes. Proportions become absurd and grotesque over time. Female characters especially suffer from this. They are drawn with impossible body proportions. Every woman looks identical with different hair colors. It is lazy character design and borderline offensive. The story structure is repetitive to the point of parody. The crew arrives at a new island. They meet locals with a problem. A villain is oppressing the island. Luffy fights the villain and wins. The island is saved. They move to the next one. This exact formula repeats for over 1,000 episodes with minor variations but the same basic structure. After the 100th island, it becomes mind-numbing. Character development is virtually non-existent. Luffy is the same person in episode 1 and episode 1000. He is naive, optimistic, and punches his way through problems. That is all he does for 20+ years. There is no growth, no change, no evolution. The side characters fare even worse. Zoro wants to be the best swordsman. He trains and fights, that is his entire character. Sanji cooks food and chases women. Nami loves money. Usopp is a coward. These one-note traits define them forever. Real characters change and growth over time. One Piece, characters stay frozen in amber. The power scaling makes absolutely no sense. Luffy gets beaten completely by a villain, then he trains for like 2 weeks and suddenly he is strong enough to win easily. This happens repeatedly throughout the series. There is no consistent logic to power levels. Characters are as strong as the plot needs them. Fans claim the world building is incredible, and yes, the world is large and detailed, but quantity does not equal quality. 1,000 islands do not matter if they are all similar. The same basic conflicts play out everywhere, with different names and faces, but identical problems. True world building would show diverse cultures and systems. One Piece just reuses the same templates constantly. The biggest problem is the time investment required. One Piece demands literally weeks of your life. To watch every episode takes over 2 weeks straight, no sleep, no breaks, just pure watching. And for what? A story that barely progresses, characters who never change or grow, fights padded out to absurd lengths. That is not respecting your audience's time, that is exploiting their devotion to the franchise. Fans say you cannot judge it without watching everything, but that is exactly the problem. A show shouldn't require 1,000 hours to get good. If you need that much setup, you are doing it wrong. Great anime hooks you within 3 episodes. One Piece asks you to invest months before the payoff. Here is what all 5 of these anime have in common. They are defended based on popularity, not actual quality. People love them because everyone else loves them, not because they are objectively well-written or executed. Sword Art Online has terrible writing and problematic content. Attack on Titan mistakes shock value for depth. Demon Slayer prioritizes visuals over substance. My Hero Academia is aggressively generic and derivative. One Piece disrespects your time with terrible pacing. These are not minor flaws, these are fundamental problems that would sink any less popular show. But because these anime are massively successful, fans defend them regardless of obvious issues. They attack anyone who points out legitimate criticism, creating echo chambers where problems cannot be discussed. This hurts the anime industry in the long run. When mediocre shows get praised as masterpieces, studios learn they do not need to try hard, they can copy formulas and rely on hype. Why take creative risks when generic works sell? Why develop complex characters when simple archetypes work? Why craft tight pacing when padding extends runtime? These overrated anime set terrible precedents. They teach studios that spectacle beats substance, that marketing matters more than quality, and that fan-based devotion excuses lazy writing. Here is what you should do instead of watching these shows. If you want great action anime, watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Tight pacing, excellent characters, meaningful themes. If you want trapped in game stories, watch Log Horizon. Actual strategy and world building without power fantasy. If you want beautiful animation, watch Mob Psycho 100. Stunning visuals with genuinely great storytelling. If you want superhero anime, watch One Punch Man. Clever deconstruction with actual humor and heart. If you want long adventure anime, watch Hunter x Hunter. Complex characters, a consistent power system, and incredible writing. These shows prove anime can be both popular and well-crafted. You do not have to choose between success and quality. But the 5 anime on this list chose hype over substance, spectacle over character development, length over meaningful progression, and fans reward them for it anyway. That is why these popular anime actually suck, not because they are unwatchable garbage, but because they are mediocre shows treated as masterpieces, elevated beyond their actual quality by devoted fans who refuse to acknowledge legitimate flaws. You deserve better than these overrated shows. Anime is an incredible medium with masterpieces everywhere. Do not waste your time on mediocrity just because it is popular. Seek out actually great shows that respect your intelligence, stories with developed characters and meaningful themes, shows that earn their emotional moments honestly, not through shock value or manipulation. That is how you find anime worth remembering. Not by following hype, but by demanding quality. Now, if you are looking to actually start your anime journey the right way, I have created the ultimate guide that shows you exactly where to begin. No overrated shows, no wasted time, just the genuine masterpieces that will make you fall in love with anime. This complete beginner's guide covers everything from picking your first show to understanding what makes great anime actually great. Click the link on screen right now to watch how to start watching anime in 2026 the proper way. Trust me, you will thank yourself later.